The other day I was parked at a truck stop and something happened that stuck with me. Not because it was dramatic or anything, just because it was one of those moments that are just totally human. I was sitting in my car at a Love's truck stop, and the guy parked next to me tried to start his vehicle. When he turned the key, it made that sound anyone who's had car trouble knows immediately. It's that sad, little click sound where it's just a click. I've dealt with dead batteries before, so I recognized it right away. At first, I just watched for a minute to see if he had a jump box or cables or some way to handle it himself, but he didn't. He was just sitting there in his car, and he was looking kind of, defeated, I guess. And I know that feeling, so I got out and I tapped on his window and asked if he needed a jump box or a jump. Now, getting my jump box was not exactly easy to do. My car is pretty packed right now, considering I am living in it. So I had to pull out over half of my stuff just to get to it. But honestly, that part didn't matter because when you know what it feels like to be stuck somewhere with a dead battery and you have the ability to help someone, it would feel completely wrong not to. So I grabbed it, I hooked it up, and we got his car started. He worked at the McDonald's inside the Love's truck stop, and he had been on his lunch break. After the car started, he went back inside to finish his shift. I didn't think anything else about it. I wasn't expecting anything in return. Helping someone doesn't mean they owe you something. But the next day, he came walking up to my car and said, "Hey, I don't know if you remember me, but you helped me yesterday." Well, of course I remembered him. My first thought was that maybe he needed the jump box again. But he said something that caught me off guard. He said he had felt bad all night because he had to leave immediately after work the day before. Apparently, he had a new puppy at home and had to get back to take care of it. And I told him that was completely fine. I hadn't expected anything from him anyway. But he had still been thinking about it. So later that day, he brought me some food. And the next morning, he showed up with a gas can full of gas for my car. And I was incredibly grateful for that. I had been out of gas for 4 days, I believe. So we tried to pour the gas into my tank, but the gas can, it has one of those newer safety nozzles on it. If you've ever used one, you know that they can be a little bit confusing until you get the hang of it. We were both standing there trying to figure it out, and gas kept spilling, and it just wasn't working the way we had expected. He was about to be late for work, and that's when he said something that really stuck with me. First, he joked that maybe he had bought the most difficult gas can that existed, and then he said, "Maybe we're just too stupid to figure it out." And I stopped him for a second, not in a confrontational way, of course, but just very gently, and said, "I don't think it's that we're stupid. I think we just don't know how to operate it yet, but I can Google it and figure it out." Because the truth is, little comments people make about themselves matter more than they realize. A lot of people talk to themselves in ways that they would never talk to somebody else. If a friend couldn't figure out a gas can, you probably wouldn't say, "Wow, you're stupid." You'd say, "Oh, those things can be confusing," or "Let's figure it out," or "Let's Google it." I mean, in this day and age, right? But when it's ourselves, suddenly the language gets harsh. I'm stupid. I'm an idiot. I can't do anything right. And most of the time, people don't even notice that they're doing it. It's just the way they've learned to talk to themselves over the years. You could tell this guy didn't mean anything harmful by it. It was literally just automatic, reflexive even. But hearing someone say that about themselves, it's heartbreaking because I've been there before. I used to speak to myself and about myself in that same way. In fact, I was much harsher with myself my entire life until I recently learned how to stop doing that. Because the reality is, not knowing how to do something doesn't make you stupid. It just means you haven't learned how to do it yet, And in this case, we literally had a device in our pockets that could show us the answer in about 10 seconds. So the problem wasn't intelligence, it was just unfamiliarity. And that's something that I have just had on my mind ever since. The way people relate to themselves internally. I mean, I knew that I did it to myself my entire life, right? But I mean, I don't know. I guess I've never really noticed that other people do it to themselves too, or maybe I've just never been around anybody else that openly did until now, or maybe I was just too wrapped up in my own internal stuff to even notice back then. Who knows, But the voice that you use when you talk about yourself matters. It shapes how you see your abilities, your worth, and your place in the world. And sometimes all it takes is one small moment, one correction to plant a different idea. Instead of, I'm stupid, maybe you could change it to, I just haven't figured this out yet. And those two sentences lead to very different lives.